Admiral Zektar's mandibles clicked with barely contained amusement as he observed the human vessel through the viewport of his flagship. The Terran Defiance hung in space like a crude metal box compared to the sleek, bioorganic curves of the hegemony's finest warships. Its angular hull bristled with what appeared to be primitive projectile weapons, laughably obsolete technology that most civilized species had abandoned millennia ago. "Look at that pathetic excuse for a warship," Zektar chittered to his bridge crew. "The humans dare to challenge the might of the galactic hegemony with that scrap heap?" The assembled officers of various species, tall, crystalline Vorthak, gas-breathing Nephilim, and biomechanical Signari, all shared in their commander's derision. For 3 centuries, the galactic hegemony had dominated this sector of space, with their advanced plasma weaponry, quantum shields, and vessels that could phase between dimensions. These newcomer humans, with their chemical fuel rockets and metal projectiles, seemed like children playing with sticks. "Sir," reported the Vorthak tactical officer, her crystalline form refracting the bridge lights, "long-range scans indicate the human vessel is armed primarily with kinetic weapons. No plasma cannons, no particle beams. Their shielding appears to be simple electromagnetic deflection." Zektar's laugh was a harsh, grating sound. "Kinetic weapons? What's next? Throwing rocks?" He activated the fleet-wide communications. "All ships, maintain formation. We'll make quick work of this primitive craft and send a message to Earth about the consequences of defying the hegemony." The human ship had requested a formal duel under the ancient laws of space combat. 1 vessel against 1 vessel, winner takes all. What the humans didn't know was that Zektar had no intention of honoring that agreement. The moment the duel began, his entire battle group of 12 heavy cruisers would decloak and annihilate the lone human ship. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the Terran Defiance, her weathered hands clasped behind her back as she studied the enemy formation on the tactical display. At 45, she was a veteran of the Sol Defense Force, having cut her teeth during the brutal asteroid mining wars that had forged humanity's military doctrine in the crucible of zero-gravity combat. "Captain," reported Lieutenant Torres from the weapons station, "all railgun batteries are charged and ready. Kinetic penetrators loaded, magnetic field generators at full power." "Tactical analysis, Commander Park?" Chen asked her XO. Commander Park, a slight woman with cybernetic implants that interfaced directly with the ship's targeting systems, studied the readouts with cold precision. 12 hegemony heavy cruisers, maintaining standard formation pattern. 7. "They're confident, ma'am. Overconfident. Their ships are clustered too tightly and they're not expecting our actual capabilities." Chen nodded grimly. The hegemony had made a fatal assumption, that human technology was primitive, simply because it was different. What they didn't understand was that humanity had spent centuries perfecting the art of accelerating small objects to incredible velocities. While other species had moved toward energy weapons and exotic matter manipulation, humans had taken kinetic warfare to its logical extreme. "Signal the enemy flagship," Chen ordered. "Tell them we're ready to begin." The space between the fleets crackled with tension as both sides powered their weapons. Zektar's fleet spread into attack formation, their plasma batteries beginning to charge with ominous energy readings that would have terrified most opponents. "Human vessel," Zektar transmitted mockingly, "you have 30 seconds to surrender, before we demonstrate the superiority of hegemony technology." Captain Chen's response was calm and measured. "Admiral, you're about to learn why humans don't surrender." The battle began in an explosion of violence that defied all expectations. The Terran Defiance didn't simply fire its weapons, it unleashed hell itself. 16 railgun turrets, each capable of accelerating tungsten core penetrators to 15% of light speed, spoke with thunder that could be felt across the electromagnetic spectrum. But these weren't ordinary kinetic weapons. Each projectile was equipped with microfusion warheads that would detonate only after penetrating the target's hull. The first volley struck the hegemony formation with devastating precision. Commander Park's targeting systems, enhanced by quantum computing and predictive algorithms, had calculated not just where each enemy ship was, but where they would be when the projectiles arrived. The tungsten penetrators, moving at relativistic speeds, punched through quantum shields as if they were tissue paper. The shields simply couldn't react fast enough to the incoming mass. Admiral Zektar watched in horror as 3 of his heavy cruisers simply ceased to exist. The kinetic impacts had so much energy that they triggered fusion reactions in the ship's armor, turning the vessels into brief, brilliant stars before they collapsed into expanding clouds of plasma and debris. "Impossible!" he shrieked. "How can primitive weapons penetrate quantum shielding?" The answer came in the form of the second volley. The Terran Defiance had rotated to bring its secondary batteries to bear, and now another 16 railgun turrets fired in sequence. This time, the projectiles were even faster, pushed to 20% of light speed by magnetic accelerators that used the ship's entire fusion reactor output. 4 more hegemony cruisers died in explosions that briefly outshone the local star. The remaining ships, their formation shattered, tried desperately to return fire. But their plasma weapons seemed laughably slow compared to the near-instantaneous impact of human kinetic projectiles. "All ships, emergency jump," Zektar ordered, but it was too late. The third and final volley from the Terran Defiance was different. Instead of individual projectiles, the human ship fired a spread of cluster munitions, each round containing hundreds of smaller penetrators that separated during flight. The result was a shotgun blast that covered cubic kilometers of space with relativistic death. The last 5 hegemony ships, including Zektar's flagship, were caught in the spread. The smaller projectiles, while individually less powerful, struck with the frequency of a meteor shower. Hulls that had withstood plasma bombardments for centuries were riddled with holes in seconds. Atmosphere vented into space. Reactors went critical, and proud warships became tombs drifting in the void. Admiral Zektar's last sight was of the Terran Defiance hanging motionless in space, its angular hull unmarked by enemy fire. In 3 minutes and 47 seconds, a single human warship had destroyed an entire hegemony battle group without taking a single hit in return. As news of the battle spread across the galaxy, the other powers of the hegemony began to reconsider their dismissal of human technology. Perhaps, they realized, there was something to be said for the simple, brutal efficiency of accelerating metal to incredible speeds. The humans, after all, had learned their warfare in the asteroid belts and the void between worlds, where the smallest mistake meant death, and only the most efficient killers survived. They had spent centuries perfecting the art of making small things move very, very fast. And now the galaxy would learn to fear that expertise.